Shalom. Alright, today I wanted to do this quick video on just talking about Tetsubins. It seems like there's maybe like a little bit of confusion on what exactly a Tetsubin is. There's two different types. Mainly, Tetsubin, the type used in the Japanese tea ceremony, will look something like one of these. There's also a type of, it's not really a Tetsubin, but it's similar looking. It's also made out of cast iron, but it has an enamel glaze inside. And then it has a metal tea strainer that usually sits inside, and you can seep tea inside of those. Not going to be discussing that too much, but I just don't want there to be any confusion on what exactly a Tetsubin is. Those are used mainly only for seeping tea. So you put water that's been pre-boiled somewhere else inside of that, and then you put the tea in the tea strainer, you put the lid, and you allow the tea to seep inside of that kettle, inside of that tea seeper. But you're not ever really supposed to boil water on those things because of the enamel glaze inside. It'll eventually begin to crack and peel. You can get that into your water, it can leach into your tea. So those just are not designed for that. So make sure we're not using those type of kettles for boiling water that has any type of an enamel glaze or coating on the inside of the kettle. Coming back to the Tetsubins, there's a bunch of different types of Tetsubins. The vintage ones seem like they're a little bit more highly sought after, but they're a little bit harder to find. They can be a little bit more expensive as well, but there are a lot of fakes right now out of the market, so it can be a little bit difficult to find an actual vintage Tetsubin for a good price. And the prices of Tetsubins right now are getting, like everything else, is getting a little bit more expensive, so finding a good nice one can be a little bit more difficult, but they're still out there. I'm going to talk about these four Tetsubins that I have here. This first one that I have is a smaller cast iron Tetsubin, and I don't have too much information on this guy. I bought it more as just an art piece, but it is cast iron. It has a bronze lid. I'll let you look at that right there. It's got a bronze lid, and also this has no coating on the inside. I got this flashlight, hopefully you can see that in there. There's no coating on the inside of this Tetsubin. It is just bare iron on the inside, but again, I don't know too much about this. I believe it is an older Tetsubin. It's really on the small side though. As you can see, it's pretty small, so I don't use it. I have it mainly just displayed as an art piece. It looks nice. This other Tetsubin that I have here is a Tetsubin that I bought from a company named Kunsan, and this is a pretty nice Tetsubin. I like this one. This is probably the one I used the most right now. I'm sitting and drinking tea alone. This is a perfect size. It's 1 liter at the full capacity. I usually only fill it about 75 to 80% of the way up, but it's still for the most part usually more than enough water. You can see this. It's made by a company named Kunsan. This Tetsubin has a yurishi coating on the outside. That's what that black is, and they use that to protect the cast iron from rusting. And then on the inside of the lid, it's also coated as well. This one is a bare iron inside also, as you can see. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. There's just bare iron inside of there. It allows the water to react with the iron, and you get a little bit of that into your water that you're boiling. If you did see the little white spots in there, the white on the inside is just the minerals that are attaching from the spring water. It'll kind of bond to the iron, and it actually gives it a certain amount of protection from rusting in the future, or just at any point. Not ever really supposed to leave water in these things for too long. Of course, during your whole tea session, tea ceremony, it's fine, but whenever you're done using them, you want to dry them up right away because the water can use it. Again, I just want to clarify with these Tetsubins, tea is never seeped inside of any of these. The only thing that they're ever used for is boiling water. That's it. No tea leaf ever goes into this kettle. That could potentially ruin it, actually. So these are strictly used for boiling water, and then the tea is seeped in your teapot, which will either be like a Yixing teapot or a side handle, depending on whatever you're using. That's where the tea is seeped. So it's not inside of this. This is really just for boiling the water and keeping the water nice and hot, and they have good heat retention. This is another Tetsubin that I picked up. This one's a little bit bigger. This is actually still a perfect size for a single person. I believe this is about a 1.3, 1.4 liter. But if you're gonna get one, this is a really good size. You can't go wrong with it. It'll have enough water to use for multiple people, and it'll also hold just enough for you by yourself for your single sessions. This one's a little bit different. because this one does have a coating on the inside, but it's not an enamel glaze. So basically what they did on this one is they put this Yurishi coating, which is a natural Japanese lacquer, on the inside of this Tetsubin in order to protect it and prevent rust. It's a little bit more anti-rust, but some people prefer not to have that. They prefer the iron reacting with the water inside of their Tetsubin, so really depending on what you're looking for, you may or may not want that. And I'll let you see what this looks like on the inside here. This has the Yurishi coating on the inside of the lid, as most of them do. And then as you can see also, though, hopefully you can see that there is a Yurishi coating on the inside of this Tetsubin. So there is a type of coating that sometimes is on a Tetsubin, but it's not the enamel glaze that are in the other types that are used just for seeping tea. So this kettle can still is designed for boiling water, again, but they just put a certain protective layer on the inside of it called Yurishi. But it's a really nice Tetsubin. You know, maybe you'll have to experiment a little bit, going back and forth, figuring out whether you want that or not. But I'd say for the most part, bare iron is a pretty good way to go. I mean, it gives like a certain depth to the tea and to the water that's pretty nice. This last Tetsubin that I'm going to be talking about is made of all clay. So hopefully you can see that fully here on the camera. But this is a really nice Tetsubin actually. This is made by a company called Global Tea Hut. If you haven't heard of them, go check them out. They have a bunch of awesome tea knowledge, a bunch of tea, a really strong tea community, and they're willing to share a lot of their knowledge, have a lot of really great products. But I picked up this Tetsubin from them about a year ago and I absolutely love it. This one's really nice. It's all clay, so it's a little bit more fragile. Got to be more careful with it. But as you can see on the inside there, it's all clay. Hopefully you can see that. This is the biggest Tetsubin that I have. And again, this one is strictly used for boiling water, nothing else. This is about a 2-liter Tetsubin, so this one's great for bowl tea or sharing with, you know, up to 5, 6, 7 people. But it also still like works really well as a personal Tetsubin. Sometimes I'll just use this one when I'm sitting to drink tea by myself, depending on like what I'm going for. The clay that they use actually gives a really nice, it just boils water really nicely, and it has a very earthy smell, which I really like. They use a really good clay. So sometimes if I'm not feeling like I want to drink out of a cast iron, have water boiled out inside of a cast iron kettle, I'll reach for the clay one, and you can really just never go wrong with the clay. It always boils and it makes really good water. Again, if you're only going to have one Tetsubin, I would say probably a good place to start is just a nice cast iron Tetsubin. Just make sure you take care of it, you're drying it out quickly, and you can't go wrong. But again, overall, all of these Tetsubins have their uses and all can be really nice. I don't know like a whole lot about Tetsubins. I'm not an expert by any means, but I have gone through a couple now over the past couple years, and these are the ones now that I have acquired and I'm using the most. So hopefully with the bit of knowledge that I am able to share, I was able to give you transfers over some of my experience that I've acquired over the years by drinking Tetsubins and acquiring different type of kettles. So yeah, again, you know, go out, look, you know, ask people questions about their Tetsubins, about kettles. Most people are pretty open and friendly. And when you get ready to buy one, just make sure you buy something that you like and you're going to appreciate, because most likely if it's something that you buy and it's a nice Tetsubin, it's going to be with you for a long time. These Tetsubins last lifetimes if you take care of them. There's a couple different things too. One more thing I wanted to touch on is the different types of handles. So there's a couple different types of handles. This one has, I believe this is a bronze handle, and it actually folds out of the way so you can put water inside, which is really nice. And however they design it, it actually just stays in place wherever you put it. So it has a very nice solid feel. This is another type of handle that is made. It is a hollow handle. So this one, if you actually see, has little holes on the sides of it, and it cools down a lot easier that way. So the handle is hollow and there's holes inside, so the heat is able to disperse on this type of handle a lot easier. So you can sit however you're going to boil this, your infrared or your induction, your charcoal, your gas stove, although mainly I've been told infrared or charcoal is always the better way to go. So when I'm here inside the house, I just have a little infrared stove that I use, and this handle will never get hot. And then this is just a solid cast iron handle that's attached to the body, so doesn't move, doesn't go anywhere. It's not hollow. But again, for the most part, if I'm using it on the infrared stoves, this handle doesn't ever really get hot, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. So again, I hope I covered it all. Tetsubin Talk, Shalom.